Here's an idea for you. How about getting up every morning and saying, Jesus, I'll be trusting in you today. And by the way, I'll be having lots of good chats with your mother. You know, Kristen, October is the month of the Rosary. And it's like going to Jesus through Mary. It's such a beautiful prayer form, the Rosary, and I love it.
Yeah.
And in fact, we have kind of gathered up some of our rosaries because, again, October is the month of the Rosary, one of the most beautiful prayer forms the Catholic Church offers, and other denominations as well use the Rosary, which is a chaplet. So the Rosary is 59 beads as opposed to other chaplets that are different configurations of beads. But today we're going to show you some of our special rosaries. I have here my First Communion rosaries. I have them draped across my arm. I hope I don't drop them, but this is probably the most precious rosary I own. This is my First Communion rosary, and I like to keep it near and dear. I keep it on my nightstand right beside of my bed. So there's that one. I probably own dozens of rosaries, and they're all over the place. You never know where you're going to find one. This one's also very special to me. This was made from the roses of a bouquet that my aunt had sent to the funeral home when my sister Mary passed away. And this particular aunt was my sister's godmother. And this is I don't know if you can tell, but this is pink. And I think do you have a pink one as well?
Yep.
You have the same rosary.
It's not here today because it's in the workshop.
Yeah.
I broke a bead.
You know, I have probably 6 or 7 rosaries that are waiting to be fixed, and I have all the utensils to fix them. So you just, one of these days, I'll just fix them all.
We gotta sit down and get it done.
This one's kind of like a tiger eye rosary, and the thing I love about it is it's actually a bracelet. It stretches and it wraps around your wrist, and so you always have a rosary at hand because it's always around your wrist. And so I should have brought.
I have one that just goes around your finger, so that if you're walking, and it's one decade, and I like
it's
it too.
great.
Forgot it.
This one is one that I won at a church festival, and it is some beautiful crystal beads, and it has Saint Teresa of Avila actually depicted on this one, and of course all of these rosaries have been blessed by a plethora of a variety of priests throughout the ages, and that makes it extra special. This one is a rosary from the Holy Land that Father Todd Dominic gave me when I was working at St. John's and St. Mary's, and he had gone to the Holy Land and brought back a bunch of rosaries, and I was blessed to receive one, so that's very, very special to me. And the last one that I have here is just a teeny tiny one little here. It's very small. I like to stick that in my bag, so it's always, I keep it in my little satchel thing, my wristlet kind of thing. It's very small, and it was given to me by some family friends. So I love it as well. I love every rosary that I have, and they all have some kind of special meaning to me. I will be honest in saying that the rosary I use the most is the Finger Rosary, because I tend to say
it's always with us.
It's always with me. I tend to be a finger prayer. I use my fingers to pray the rosary more than anything else because they are always with us. And it works. Some people say, well, I lose track, and it's actually harder for me to keep moving along with the beads than it is to just kind of, I'll take my thumb and just press it into the finger of whatever prayer I'm on. So that's me. You've got a couple here with you as well.
I have 2 with me here. Like I said, I have the similar one to Mom, but it's in the workshop. And then I have also one from the Holy Land. This was given to me by a dear friend when she went actually on our wedding day to the Holy Land, bought this on our wedding day, and had it blessed on our wedding day. So that was really, really cool. So this is a very, very special rosary to us. And then this one I got at World Meeting of Families when we saw the Pope when he came to Philadelphia, and so this is really neat because of that experience. And then I also took it when I went to see Saint Maria Goretti, and actually, if you touch something to a first-class relic, in this case it was her bones, it becomes a third-class relic, and so
so you have a third
something. Well, it's a third-class relic. Anyway, it's a third-class relic. So it's been with the Pope, it's been with saints. So this one's really, really special to me, and I really love it.
And I don't know how well you can see that one, but it is a gorgeous rosary.
It's very pretty. I really love it. And, I love, and this is funny, too, and it comes back to personal preference. I love that the beads are bigger because when you have the smaller beads, I feel like my fingers are just kind of bigger, and so I hit multiple beads at a time, and then I lose track. So I like that it's the bigger beads, and so I really enjoy that. And then, we should have brought the little one that you got for Quinn. There's a little teether rosary that Mom got for her granddaughter. Yeah.
And whenever I babysit, we pray at least a decade of the rosary. And I think it's really interesting because she'll get real quiet when we start to pray. And I love that she's already developing sort of a sense of holiness about her. There's a sacredness that she senses, I think.
I'm also expecting one of those for our little man.
Okay, got that. Thank you. Because that's not been ordered yet. And with the way the mail is these days, I think I better get on that right away.
Well, we want to make sure the baby hug is happy, healthy, and holy.
Yes, absolutely. And I will definitely take care of that. Yeah, absolutely. We want them praying that rosary right from the get.
Rolling those beads.
And the reason is because the rosary, which was actually brought to us by St. Dominic, it was inspired through St. Dominic to pray the rosary as a gift. And it's such a beautiful prayer form. It was one that Pope John Paul II, Saint Pope John Paul II, really encouraged us to be praying, and so many saints have
he's the one who came up with the Luminous Mysteries.
Yes.
And that's where we came up with Luminous Ministries.
Exactly.
And so it's very near and dear to us as well. And, the other thing about the rosary is that you're meditating on the life of Jesus.
Right.
That's what it comes back to. You're meditating on the life of Jesus and all these different monumental moments.
Exactly. I always tell people it's like a scrapbook of Jesus' life. Why do Catholics pray the rosary? Because we want to remember all of those highlight moments, whether they were horrifically sorrowful and sad, or if they were extremely glorious and joyful. And, I like to say that there's those, the four different, there's the glorious, the joyful, the luminous, and the sorrowful. But of those four sets, three of them are relatively happy. And and one of them is very devastating. But it just goes to show that all of salvation history, most of it is something to be joyful about and uplifted over. And even the sadness of it all points to God's love for us. So when you go to the Sorrowful Mysteries and you read about, all of the torture that Jesus went through, but why did he go through it? Because he loves us so much.
And if you're going through a dark night of the soul, I think it's a good reminder too that you have to experience the low lows to experience the high highs. That's just all a part of the human experience, and that when Jesus became man, he experienced the full human experience.
Right.
So it also, I think, in a lot of ways makes Jesus really relatable, and that's another reason to meditate on the rosary, because you come to see just how many different ways you can commune with Christ. There's so many different ways to start that conversation. And I think that's a special thing to explore.
And the Blessed Mother, I just remember that when she was at Fatima, the miracle of Fatima, one of the things that she communicated to the children is that to end World War I, that she was imploring people to pray the rosary and to offer up their sufferings. So, the rosary, and we hear so many Catholic apologists telling us, pray the rosary. So many saints who said, pray the rosary, pray the rosary. And why? Because it is a powerful weapon. You talk about the sword, but the rosary is the most powerful weapon there is. That's why back in the day, now you don't remember this, but when I was a child going to Catholic school, and the nuns always had a rosary hanging down on their belt that hung down on the side of them. And the reason they did that was because it was their weapon against Satan and all the evils of the world. But it was with them always. I mean, they never had to worry about, where is my weapon? Where is my weapon against Satan? It's right there with you all the time, which is why my fingers are so, important to me and sacred to me. But, the rosary is, there's also been research studies done about the recitation of the rosary and how it has actual health benefits, psychological benefits, mental and emotional benefits,
cool.
because it's so soothing. The repetition of a beautiful prayers. And all of, where do those prayers come from? They come from sacred scripture.
Right.
They come from sacred scripture. So Padre Pio was a huge fan of the Rosary and would always tell people how important it was to pray the Rosary.
People call it the Bible on beads, and that's exactly what it is. And so if we are believers of the Bible and we love the Bible, we absolutely should be praying the Rosary, because that's what it is, the Bible on beads.
It's also an offering of like a bouquet of roses to God. And in fact, some saints, while praying the Rosary, were actually, there was witness that, you can Google this because absolute truth, but they would actually physically see roses coming out of the mouths of the saints as they were reciting the Rosary. So, just all kinds of, the Ted Bundy story about how,
Yeah, this is crazy. This is wild. Ted Bundy, as we all know who he is, was the last time that he went to murder someone was in a sorority house.
Serial killer, you can Google that.
He was in the sorority house, and he went into this girl's room, and he was gonna kill her, and he was flung out of the room. The knife falls out of his hands, and the police were able to get there in time because of whatever force pushed him back. Well, when they got on the scene with the victim, she said, I want to talk to a Catholic priest. I don't want to talk to anybody else. I want to talk to a Catholic priest. They brought a priest, this Monsignor actually, and she said to the Monsignor, I don't know what happened, but there was like this force when he came in that just like knocked him out of the room. And she goes, I really believe that it was the Rosary. She said, it makes me so emotional. She said, my mom begged me to pray the Rosary every single day that I was away at college. And she said, and I have done that every day. And she goes, even if I've fallen asleep, like I've fallen asleep praying the Rosary. And she said, I really believe that that's what protected me. Well, get this. It wasn't just her feeling this way. Ted Bundy is on death row. He asked to speak to a priest. They send that same Monsignor to talk to Ted Bundy. And he says, Monsignor, there's something that really bothers me. That night, something happened that's never happened before. I went in there to do what I was going to do, and a force that I have never experienced in my life literally threw me out of the room and made me drop the knife. And he said, I don't know what that was. And this Monsignor said, it is, God and the power of the Rosary. So, yeah, it is.
So, the moral of the story here is
pray the Rosary.
Well,
Roll those
we are
beads.
living in difficult times, and we are not here to try to pretend that it's any different than that. There's a lot of turmoil in the world. There's a lot of angst. There's a lot of dissension among the ranks. There's a lot of unsettled hearts and souls. And Jesus would say, no. Have peace and joy in your hearts. And when you're feeling angst, don't succumb to that angst. Simply pray. And the Rosary is a great prayer form. So we encourage you today, in this month of October especially, to pray the Rosary. Pray it constantly. Pray it, if you started and you don't get it finished, that's okay. Pick up where you left off and just keep praying the Rosary. Try to pray the Rosary every day. John Paul II, he prayed all of the decades of all of the mysteries every single day. And he was kind of a busy man. He was a busy man, but he made it a priority to find time to pray the Rosary, all of the different mysteries. So, I'm just here to say, you may think, I have never been good with that prayer form. I don't like that prayer form. Don't knock it until you've tried it, and give it, what do they say, 6 weeks or something before something becomes a habit.
Yeah.
I think
give it another go.
Yeah, give it another go, and I think you'll find, read the stories, the powerful stories about things that have happened to people while reciting the Rosary. There's all kinds of amazing stories.
Well, there's
out
another
there.
story about World War II when they dropped the atomic bomb.
Right.
In Japan.
Yep.
And there was a group of brothers who were living,
Were they priests?
I thought they were brothers. Priests, brothers, monks. I'm not sure. They were living in community.
Yeah.
And they were right by where the bomb dropped. They should have totally been
Annihilated.
Everything around them
Annihilated.
was wiped out. and they were not, and their monastery was not. And they said that they firmly believe it was because they prayed the rosary every single day.
And what was also interesting about that story is that scientists and medical people all evaluated these men just to figure out, their dosages of radiation, because they were literally in the thick of it. And they were like blown away because they showed no sign. Most of them went on to live long lives and died at very older ages. And here they were, and they were all praying the rosary, so they were given that protection. So hey,
so if those two stories don't inspire you, I don't know what will. But
get out that rosary. If you want, get yourself a bracelet or a finger ring, or use your fingers, or find a beautiful rosary, one that just speaks to your soul, and
get rolling those beads.
Rolling those beads, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're interested in learning more about the rosary, we would really suggest our program, Who is This Woman Who Simply Said Yes? Because it always comes back to Mary is constantly pointing us to her son, and that's what the rosary does. It points us to Jesus through Mary. So that would be a great program that we would recommend for you. And if you're feeling so inspired by today's video and you would like to support the mission of Luminous Ministries, we invite you to visit our website at www.luminousministries.com/donate. Have a great day, everybody. Start rolling those beads.